the 49ers traded Jeff Wilson Jr. to the Miami Dolphins for a 5th-round pick. Jeff Wilson Jr. gets to reunite with Mike McDaniel and Raheem Mostert, and that team is 5-3. What do you think of this trade?
Okay, how about the word appalled? Appalled.
Yeah.
What was going to happen is about 20 minutes to 1, I called Iggy just to make sure. He sent me the link for this, and I was going to say, we can praise the Niners for not trading Jeff Wilson Jr. And before I had said a word, Iggy said, "Did you hear? They traded Jeff Wilson Jr." So that changed my whole attitude. Let me say this. The Niners have really good running backs. This CMC, oh my God, he's great. I love him. I was so enraptured by what he did on Sunday. And I know that Elijah Mitchell is coming back. I got it. So probably Jeff Wilson Jr. would be the 3rd running back. But I want to say a couple of things. Jeff Wilson Jr. is a hell of a running back, Iggy.
Yeah.
He's really good. I mean, he breaks off long runs. He's a power back through the middle. He's a power back at the goal line. I think I'm right about that.
He's a good receiver, too. Not Christian McCaffrey good, but a good receiver.
Yeah, he's a really good. So, first of all, a 5th-round draft pick for him? No way. He was better than that.
Great trade for Miami.
Great for Miami. The other thing is, and I'm sure you're going to get into this, McCaffrey is very good, but he's been injured, and he's built up a little body.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen with him. And Elijah Mitchell is coming off a serious injury, and you don't know if he'll be Elijah Mitchell or if he'll get hurt again. I'm a conservative personality. I would have held on to Jeff Wilson Jr. because it's a 3rd back of quality, and it gives Jimmy more options. So, and for what they got for him, I don't like this in the least. What about you?
Well, I'm sure what John Lynch would say, because he's so diplomatic, is he would say, we're doing Jeff Wilson Jr. a favor. He's too good to be a 3rd-string running back, and we don't want to bury him on the depth chart. He's in a contract year. We want him to go and flourish. So they're so pro player. They're doing the Jeff Wilson a favor, and the Dolphins. The Niners have to face the Dolphins in a few weeks.
That's true.
Just saying. Anyway, this is quite interesting. And I know the Niners think they're so confident because Christian McCaffrey had such a great game and Elijah Mitchell's coming back, but they haven't been able to keep any of their running backs healthy. And if one of those 2 guys goes down, they're going to regret this trade because they didn't get that much for him.
Iggy, I don't think Jeff Wilson Jr. was extra. I think he was important. You don't want to overuse CMC. You don't want to overuse Mitchell because he's coming back. This is a guy who would have played in a rotation or I'm going to say could take over certain games. I've seen him do it this season. And it's, you're imputing words to Lynch, who's a good guy. We're doing him a favor. If that's what Lynch would ever say, it's baloney. They don't do anybody favors. The favors they do are for themselves. It's business. There's no such thing as a good heart when it comes to trading. They're not doing him or the Miami Dolphins any favors. They thought this was good for them. So I humbly disagree.
Right. And they're being generous and philanthropic. They lost the trade. Miami won the trade. This is a phenomenal trade for Miami. They get a running back who's averaging 5.1 yards per carry for a 5th-round pick. And yes, Christian McCaffrey is really, really good, but both of us didn't like the trade for Christian McCaffrey, and the reason is because it was so expensive. If you're going to acquire a running back at the trade deadline, this is how you do it. You can get one for pretty cheap, and you can get a really good one. Good for the Miami Dolphins. And it's interesting. Mike McDaniel was here with the Niners. He goes to Miami, takes the 2 running backs the Niners never really appreciated. And now the Niners, they've upgraded at running back, but at what cost to upgrade from Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., who they went to the Super Bowl with?
That's right. It's very interesting.
The Super Bowl backfield.
you know, Mike McDaniel, a couple of things. I've never met him, of course. He strikes me as shrewd, cunning, heartless. Heartless in the
Definitely
way.
heartless. Definitely heartless.
Heartless. And no lingering loyalty to the 49ers. His attitude toward them is screw you.
You know the best thing about Mike McDaniel? One of the things I like the most. So the 49ers traded 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance. You know who that trade was with? Miami. Okay, so Mike McDaniel was with the Niners when they made this trade. Who knows how he felt about the Trey Lance trade? No one asked him. It's above his pay grade. He leaves 1 year later and goes to Miami. So he benefits from the trade. Isn't that great?
I got it.
He has the Niners' first-round picks the next 2 years. No, the next year, because he's already spent. But yeah, the next year and this year.
Well,
great.
Thank you, Kyle and John. That's
Absolutely.
what he's thinking, right?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle and John keep really helping Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins. They must love the Dolphins.
And they must love Mike.
They're such great people on the 49ers. They're competitors, but at the same time, it's all about the humanity and the relationships along the way.
I got some questions about Jeff Wilson Jr.
Sure.
2 questions. Because he's gone, we want to wish you all the best, and we think you should still be here. Tell me what you like about him as a running back, and tell me what he's like as a guy.
Jeff Wilson Jr. is one of the most violent, hard-running running backs I've ever seen. He has zero fear on the field. He's about 205 pounds. He runs like he's 240. But at the same time, he's really fat. He breaks away from defenses routinely. Like, for example, like Christian McCaffrey is probably shiftier and quicker than Jeff Wilson Jr. and probably would average more yards before contact than Jeff Wilson Jr. But after contact, I'll take Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, he breaks tackles. He hurts people. He's so vicious after with the ball in his hands that I think sometimes it leads to injuries for him and fumbles. Although he didn't fumble a ton. He just fumbled a couple times this year. But he's fun to watch in a different way than McCaffrey. McCaffrey's fun because he makes people look stupid. He makes people miss. Jeff Wilson Jr. isn't really trying to make you miss. He was running right through your face, which is a lot of fun to watch too.
McCaffrey fumbled already in his first game with the Niners.
And he dropped a pass that was almost a fumble, but they had to review it. Yep, absolutely.
Iggy, what is Jeff? Because he's gone. He's out of our world now. What is he like as a person?
He's one of these undrafted free agents that you love. I mean, he's one of the people in the locker room that's down to earth and like you. You can kind of tell that he's gets a kick out of just being there. I mean, he was not even a big deal in college. I think he went to like Texas something. They were trying to replace him even there. He was an undrafted guy who's been cut a lot of times by the Niners. And the fact that he persevered, he's one of the players that to me, I have deep admiration for players like that. Not that I don't respect the first-round picks, too. Those guys are special players who've been special every step of the way of their lives. These guys are the ones that bet on themselves, didn't have a huge entourage, and overcame the odds, like Nick Mullins and guys like that. And Ross Dwelley, although Jeff Wilson's probably the best of all of them because he turned into being a quality starter when he was a practice squad guy. I love that.
And he knew clearly that the Niners were probably going to get rid of him. Yeah. And I think his attitude was, watch what I can do. Look what you're going to lose by not having me.
And don't you respect someone like that? He should have that attitude.
I do. And as you know, in life, I believe talent is important, but perseverance is more important. I know a lot of writers who maybe are more talented than I am, but didn't have the perseverance that I have, that you have, and they fell by the wayside.
Yeah, well, this guy has the perseverance.
I got to follow up one more thing. Of course, you haven't met McCaffrey many times, and we didn't know him at Stanford. What does he seem like when he meets the media? What is his personality like?
He seems like he's not showing it. He seems like he's very well prepared and rehearsed. And so what he shows is intensity, locked in, eye contact, no personality. And I don't mean that as a dig. He's just not showing that. And he's not being rude. He's not being condescending. He just is a little bit of a robot right now. And maybe that's his football persona. I'm so locked in. He's a machine when he talks. So hopefully he kind of calms down a little bit. He's about 26 years old, and there's a lot of pressure on him. He just got brought in here for a lot of picks, so maybe he feels like he has to be perfect right now, or he's just a robot.
His dad was in the league.
Right. So he's probably been practicing how to talk to the press since he was 2 years old, right?
Exactly. And my guess is with someone like that, you don't see his personality. He's professional. That's what I'm saying. He's polite. Yeah. And that's really all you can expect.
But he doesn't owe us more than that.
No, he doesn't.
No.
But I do think there were people that I knew, like Ronnie Lott or Steve Young, or even Joe Montana in his way, where you got to actually know them. Brent Jones, you really knew.
Jimmy Ward.
Jimmy Ward, God love him. And it's a different approach. Jimmy Ward has a twinkle, and you can relate to him person to person. I have a feeling no one in the media will ever relate to McCaffrey like that. And it's his prerogative as long as he's polite.
I think it goes position by position. We always talk about the different personalities of positions. With DBs, I think they kind of have to call attention to themselves. With Jimmy Ward, I'd like to ask him about this. He never did. He never talked about how good he was, and no one gave him any credit. Then Richard Sherman came here, and Richard Sherman's like the Muhammad Ali of DBs. Like, he's all about, I'm great, no one gives me enough credit, and that led to him getting a bunch of All-Pros and probably a Hall of Fame career. I think Jimmy Ward saw him doing that and was like, man, I should do the same thing. I wonder if he even talked to Richard Sherman about it. Running backs, I mean, you get the ball all the time, you score touchdowns, you get yards, you get accolades. I think you don't necessarily need to call as much attention to yourself.
Interesting. I got it. Anyway, I think we could end this segment by saying, at least let me say, I never met you, Jeff. Boy, did I enjoy watching you play. I wish you all the best, and I wish you success in Miami.
I wish you success in Miami, too. Callie Tremor says, Niners been all over the place with their decision-making. I hope that they pan out. We do need the extra bodies at running back if Kyle isn't going to play the rookie running backs. Hopefully Mason will now get his chance.
Forget it.
Forget about it. They need McCaffrey and Mitchell to stay healthy. That's where they're at. Josh says, I'm no expert, but I think we could have pushed for at least a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
No, again, they're just trying to be nice. This is a nice organization. They're trading with class.
And you know what? I think the niceness starts with Jed.
Yeah, it does. He sets the tone there because he's just such a genuinely nice person.
Yes.
James Hennessy says, do you think only Miami would trade for him? Interesting question. The Rams could use a running back too, but they're so awful. Maybe they feel like a running back can't save their season.
I don't know what's going on in the rest of the league. Forgive me, but I think that you could put Jeff Wilson Jr. on most teams and he would upgrade their running back core. Agree.
Richard G. Personal Touch Detailing says, always great watching you and your pops. The Miami 49ers are looking stronger. Wouldn't you think? They're 5-3, and they're going to play each other this year. I think that's going to be a very interesting game. Look, the Niners are really talented, but the Dolphins have the #1 ranked quarterback in the league in Tua Tagovailoa, and he's not even that good. That's a testament to their coach. Interesting comparison.
We're going to talk about the Niners schedule in a bit.
Yes, we will. James Hennessy says, do you think Miami called first or the Niners called first?
I don't know how that
hard
works.
To say. I don't think it really matters. I mean, once the Niners traded for McCaffrey, I think it was pretty clear that Wilson was available. He wasn't going to be happy, and they didn't need him. So probably they didn't need the headache. Probably pretty obvious. Maybe they trust in J.P. Mason. Maybe. It'd be nice if they did because I think he's pretty good. But maybe we'll see. Maybe that's a post-bye week thing. They don't. We already know they don't. Chris Holt says, Grant, you really had a good run there, but you're right back at it. You really can't see the value in this trade. Both of you unreal. 3 running backs. Elaborate.
We already did. Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, they made themselves worse for a 5th-round pick next year. You're in a Super Bowl run. Now you're thinking about the future, too. John Hawk says, isn't this a sign in their belief in Mason? No. We've been clamoring for him, and this seems good for us. Him, no. No, it's a belief in –
played him.
Yeah, it's a belief in their ability to keep Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell healthy.
You know what our problem is, Iggy?
We're negative. We're haters. We're haters. Dark Halo 2 times says Miami used SF picks for Tyreek, Chubb, and Waddle. Is that right? They're smart. Good. Official BNA Music 88 says Wilson is also team no blue check. He's certified. Ooh, I like that. Do you see now that to be certified on Twitter, you have to pay $8 a month?
I wouldn't do it.
That's a real waste of money.
Yeah, I think I'm certified.
Yeah, not anymore. Well, you will, but pretty soon you're going to have to pay.
Then I'll drop out of Twitter. What do I need it?
Yeah, what do you need it? I think Mason should get at least a chance in the rotation. I'll tell Kyle. I'll tell him. And I'll do the best I can. He'll listen to me.